anything is possible. As long as you set your mind to it and work hard towards it, every step you take on a daily basis is a plus to where you want to be. You don't want to miss this. Stay tuned as I get down to this with my guests in a bit. Hi everyone, it's your girl Nina. Welcome to my show, Let's Talk with Nina. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe. Also hit the bell notification so whenever we upload, you'll be the first to get our notification. My guest on the show tonight is one man who went from writing on the walls of the streets in his village back in Nigeria to landing himself in big media roles here in the US. The backstory? I am as curious as you are. He recently published a book and is going to tell us everything we need to know. It's almost a year since we saw in Detroit. Welcome to the show. It's good to have you, Eyobong Ita.
Pleasure is mine, Nina. Good to see you again.
Thank you. Okay, so much ado. Let's dive straight in. Tell us about your book, what inspired you to write this book, and how the idea evolved over time.
Well, I really thought about what I've been through as a journalist in the United States, and what other colleagues had also went through even before I arrived in the United States. So, having gone through those challenges and overcome those challenges, I thought it would be necessary to document, for posterity, what it is like to overcome challenges, especially for an African, a Black African, coming from Nigeria, the village of Creektown in Nigeria, to actually make it in the United States as a journalist. Um, Most of the time, our people come here, my colleagues come here, due to prejudice because they had not practiced here, because they had no, they did not school here, they had no educational background in the United States, they had no professional background or no practice, so they are often denied, access to American newsrooms, the mainstream media. So when I came in here in my 20s, I went through a lot. I went through washing dishes and to the dish room, and then getting back to the newsroom. I thought it would be actually inspiring for others who go through challenges to know that they can actually be unbounded. They can actually refuse to accept boundaries. They can refuse to accept limitations and actually accomplish what they've set out to achieve. So this is it, Unbounded. I've chronicled almost 40 years of my journalism practice into this book. Just from
Wow.
United States, from being a sport reporter to being a political reporter to covering municipal and county organizations and county governments to actually going back to covering sports. So everything is chronicled here, and it's a must read. It's a must read. So get a copy and remain unbounded.
So, in the process of writing and putting this book together, what were the challenges you faced? Were you discouraged at some point?
Oh, well, the immediate challenge actually was, being able to recall. It's been a long time. When I started in Nigeria at Vanguard newspapers. And so I had to go back to Vanguard to try to retrieve some of my early clips, early newspaper clippings. And it was a challenge because it turned out that as great as Vanguard is as a newspaper, it did not do a pretty good job with electronic archiving. That's transitioning from paper archiving to electronic archiving. So in the process, some of us who were at Vanguard, the founding reporters, the early reporters, we lost some of we lost many of our early writings. So it was a challenge for me to recall, some of those things I did in my early days.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I was able to get a librarian who was able to manually trace some of my clippings, and it helped me to actually go back, memory lane, and write some and recall some of the things I did in my early days, without any fear of missing information or using wrong information. So that was a challenge. I had to go to Nigeria about 3 times, to be able to retrieve some of my early writings, but I was able to get it, thankfully. That was the biggest challenge. The other
Okay.
challenge actually was to actually put 40 years into a book. What do I put in? What do I leave out?
It's a long time.
So many things were
Yeah.
important,
Yeah.
and so the challenge was, what do I actually have to leave out? And what must I put in here? So I had to pick and choose, and just select some of the best ones that I believe would be essential for my memoir. That was the second challenge. Those two actually were the most outstanding ones.
Okay. So in the process of all of this, did it reshape your perspective? In the process of your research, trying to put all of this together, did you discover anything that reshaped your perspective?
I think actually the biggest thing was, we do a lot of, most of us, we do a lot of things and we don't document. We don't. The, I saw the need to document things. People used to have, back in the day, they used to have what do they call it? A planner, modern day planner. That when you do things, you write down. When you do things, it's very, very, it's absolutely necessary to document, the things you do, and to keep, well, back in the day, we said we keep a diary of events, important events. You keep a diary, you make some notes, and then you write the dates and the way it happened. It helps to go back, and it makes it easier to write a memoir. No, I did some of those, but I didn't do enough to make it as easy as it would have been. So I encourage everybody, not just because you want to write a memoir, but in anything you do, it's good to have a diary. Just
Mhm.
take some notes. Keep those notes aside. It's even easier now that you can put those notes in your phones. You can use your phone,
Yes,
you
you're
can use
right.
your laptop. No, it's not like back in the days that we must carry a big old diary and document. These days you can use your phone to document.
Yeah.
Take notes, keep notes. And they will come handy when you want to actually recall things. Recall
Yeah.
it. It's very helpful. So that was one of the biggest lessons I learned. And that's one of the biggest things I will pass on to my viewers, your viewers, that we need to do this as a people.
Okay. Did you find any chapter very difficult to write? Or did you find anyone? Okay. Now, two questions. Did you find any chapter very difficult or rewarding to write?
The My most rewarding chapter is chapter one. That is when I got my journalism break from my first sports editor, Chris Okoji. He took a chance on me, and I seized the opportunity, and it has paid off. 4 years down the road, it has paid off. I wanted to write, but I didn't have any journalism training. I just left high school, and I schooled in a village, government
Okay.
secondary school, Creektown, in Cross River State, Nigeria, southeastern Nigeria. And we didn't have magazines, we didn't have newspapers like they have high schools in the US. They have newspapers, 12 years of college. We didn't have that.
Mm.
So I used to write, put my writings and I used to handwrite my stories, and it would be put up on a laboratory window for students to read when they went to the morning devotion. We
Mm.
pasted it on the laboratory window, and that's where they would read it. That's how I started. And to be able to leave high school and move to Lagos without a college degree, without any college education, but I was determined to write. I went to Vanguard newspaper. I kept writing. I kept writing and submitting, and they started publishing my works. And one day I went to Chris Okoye. I said, I want to be on staff. It's on that first chapter. I want to be on staff. I said, okay, I'll give you, you go get me stories. If you get me enough stories, I'll get them published. And if they publish all your stories, you'll make more money than the reporters on staff. And the editor will be forced to employ you. And that's how I got my break. So when I look back, without Chris Okoye and later on Ikedi Siguzo, who succeeded Chris Okoye, they mentored me. They were my mentors. And without them, I probably wouldn't have been here today. Or I wouldn't have been here as early as I started reporting. Probably would have taken longer. So they gave me my break and I took it. So that's my most fun chapter. The other chapter I enjoy most is life in Creektown.
Okay.
I grew up as a village boy in Creektown. And for most people, they would recall the early days when they were in the village, the games we played, the things we did. We're going to the stream, going to bath in the stream. The games we played without computers, without laptops, without cell phones. Those days there was nothing. We didn't even have television in Creektown, so there was nothing. We played, under the moonlight. So when I recall those my early days in the village, wow, it was some of my most interesting time in life. No, very interesting. And you may also you can relate. A lot of people will relate to that. Growing up in the village or growing up, in a town where there were no computers, no cell phones, but we had games, a lot of games. We had extracurricular activities that we really enjoyed more than we are enjoying now, or more than the kids of nowadays are enjoying now. Although they cannot relate because they didn't have that experience. So those two chapters,
Yeah.
those are my interesting chapters, most interesting ones.